Hello, welcome back to Text Chin. I am your co-host, James. I've got Will on the line, and today is April 2nd, 2021, and I have the date this time because I wrote it down. Look at that. But welcome back to Text Chin. We're going to take a shorter session today, Will, because it is Good Friday, and if you're like me, you tend to take some time off, later in the afternoon and spend more time with family, and we have some events at our church and things going on today. So want to honor that with everybody and not keep them too long, but did want to make sure we made good on our promise to be available and to connect. So here we are. Will, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I was hoping you wouldn't opt for the 3-hour PowerPoint today.
That's next week.
Yeah, maybe next week. So everybody stay tuned for that. It's going to be good. Just kidding. It'll only be 30 minutes next week or whenever we do it. I mean, we're taking a little break, I think, for a couple weeks, but just doing well, like you said. I'm enjoying time with the family today, but I had to step into the studio and chat with you about a few things I'm hearing this week, because I think that's good. I think anyone that watches this, if anything, we kind of sum up some things we're hearing in the nonprofit world. Now, a lot of it regards text or technology specifically, but that doesn't mean that we certainly can't talk about other things, like, for example, virtual events, live events, a combination of both. What are we hearing about? What are we seeing? What's going to happen the rest of 2021?
Yeah. And Will, that's a great point. And we're running some surveys right now, as you know. We have a campaign running, bringing in folks from LinkedIn. I've got our partners and clients that we work with that we're surveying, and of course you're in conversation. And part of one of the changes that we've made even just recently is that when you're in conversation, you're asking people, the question of like, what challenges, what opportunities, what are you facing? But we're getting right to the heart of virtual. Like, are we virtual or are we in person in 2021, and to what extent? And how do we do both? Because I think it's a hybrid, right? It's probably not going to go back to an all or nothing, at least not, in the foreseeable. So what are you hearing? And my point in saying all that was that we have the survey, so we're getting a lot of great insights. And I appreciate everybody that's taken the time out of their day, a couple of minutes or so to answer that. Yeah. But in it, we just say, what challenges are you, dealing with, and then how are you solving for that? And then what ideas do you have? How are you solving your own problems? And then, taking your own experience into account. And then what are you doing to learn beyond that? And then how can we share that collectively back with the group? So. Anyway, yeah. So what are you hearing, and what are you learning from those surveys?
Well, I think you mentioned it, James, just a second ago. I'm hearing a lot of the hybrid model that nonprofits and other organizations are using. I think a lot of states are reopening. A lot of states are easing restrictions and doing that in the proper and cautious way. But with that said, we're also seeing the planning now for the fall. And of course, Giving Tuesday will be right around the corner before you know it. But we're seeing that. And so we're already seeing people kind of gear up for Q2 now and focus their efforts on fundraising, in particular, how they're going to do that. With events. Is it virtual? Is it hybrid? Is it a mix? I mean, virtual, hybrid. Is it virtual? Is it live? Is it a mix of both? So
that's fair. Good. Yeah. And it seems that the organizations we've talked to of all sizes, they're going to try to do both. Like they recognize there needs to be a virtual, component to what they're doing. I mean, I was just right before this was on the phone with an organization. I think they have, I don't know, it's a membership based organization, but they have probably, 4,000 members and they were largely in person, running in-person events. They provide value in person, and they're having to figure out like how to continue to operate in both worlds, because there's some people that frankly aren't comfortable coming back together again, and it makes sense, and that's good, particularly if your audience or your demographic tends to being more of the vulnerable demographic, then of course they're not going to be as comfortable coming back. So we have to figure out from a membership organization how we're serving these people, but also if that's a source of revenue, how we're going to replace it, right? And then of course when we're running galas or recruiting efforts or internal discussion around running these campaigns. How do we do that well, and context switch between virtual and in person? So
yeah,
definitely.
No, you're right. And go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah. What else do you have on that thought?
Well, it was an aside. I was like, I'm wearing my Dodgers hat today because it is opening day yesterday and this week, even though
baseball's back.
Yeah, we're back. And that's part of it, right? Like we're seeing things come back. We're seeing more, and hearing more like, hey, we were planning on 2022 starting back live, but we're actually going to do something in 2021. But like you said, I think the benefit of coupling both the virtual and live component is that they can live forever. And that's one thing we've seen from the virtual events that took place in 2020. A lot of our clients telling us we couldn't believe, we had people that were donating from Florida, Oregon, Georgia, California, Colorado, everywhere. That normally, it was a regional or local event. But everybody's sitting at home, everybody's kind of watching YouTube and this and that and the other. So, I like that aspect, of course, of doing both. So.
Well, you recently wrote a great blog post, so thank you for that, Will. But it was, we can talk about that a bit around events, but it really was some ideas to virtually fundraise. And I think we all have, I think we've talked so much about virtual fundraising and we've all compiled lists, but in the conversations you were having, it seems that a lot of people are just looking for just ideas. Like if we're going to be hybrid or if we're going to go virtual again, people are getting burnt out on Zoom. Like people are just tired of Zoom. So what ideas can we come up with that doesn't feel like it's just what we were trying to do in person, but over Zoom? Like let's just not add a camera to our in-person event. Let's think about new ways and new ideas that we can incorporate into our efforts that maybe are outside the box, something that we didn't do before that we're willing to do now because maybe we change it up, So tell us a bit about that and what you learned and some of it. And I can bring it up if you want to share the screen.
Yeah, I think people would rather look at it than just hear me ramble on and on forever. That's why I learned from an early age to write more than I talk.
There you go. Well, you're good. There it is. I think I'm sharing the screen properly. Is that right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, good. So, we've got so your next virtual event so walk me through what we're seeing. I know you have some statistics in here. We have 33% of employees still find themselves working remotely. That's 3 out of 10. I know a lot of organizations, a lot of companies are going to keep it that way, right? So, you're going to be working from home probably indefinitely, and they're trying to find ways to create community and bring people back together because there's a lot of camaraderie around the water cooler that we're missing, right? But the staffs of our nonprofits are also working remotely, a lot of them, right? So
they're doing better than ever. I mean, really, 2020 was a banner year for most of our nonprofits. Now, some of that was brought on by the pandemic, others by the fact that we're using technology more and more.
Well, of all the ideas, I get that. One of the things that we started doing to stay connected as a team, because we were in the office, not so much you, Will. You've always been in a different time zone. Sorry about that. But when the rest of the team and I would go into our offices together, we would often just find ourselves like Fridays. We go do lunch together every Friday. All right, so we just would go to lunch and get some time together. We'd have impromptu meetings in the whiteboard that wasn't disruptive because it was the conversation would actually kind of form in the hallways, and we'd say, hey, let's step into a conference room and let's just write this up real quick and let's do a quick work session on it. Well, now it feels like we're putting people out if we don't schedule that time. Like I don't know if I'm pinging you in the middle of something, or obviously we share calendars and stuff, but it's nice to use tools like Slack for communication with our team. We create little areas where we can ping and say, hey, I need to have a virtual whiteboard for you guys when you get a minute. We're doing a lot more video. We use a product called Loom, and we're just recording quick videos back and forth. So you might say, here's something I'm thinking, James, and you just might do a quick screen record and then send me a link through Slack, and then I watch it, and then I respond in kind. And we kind of have a virtual back and forth through email, through video is something. And then Michael, one of our director of operations, he and I use a product called Voxer, and it's kind of like a little radio app.
Yeah, I've
with the
heard of it.
record button. Yeah, and he just sends me a note, then I send him an audible note, and so it's just in time kind of communications, and it's not very intrusive. So those are just some ideas as a company we've done to improve communications as a team. Do you feel like any of those things would work for your donors? And if so, like what is like how big or small would I be before these things maybe are not a good fit? Like what do you think about those technologies?
No, I think they can be utilized by anyone. That's the beauty of technology is things have never been as inexpensive or better for the budget, if you will, versus your return on investment. So whether you're trying to use social media, texting, things like that, but especially in how you're communicating with donors, I think that's been a challenge. I've heard a lot about people saying, how do I stay in touch with people, especially when we've never been more remote, as you mentioned, James. And at the top of the article, 33% of people are going to stay remote. Now, that's not just talking about who was already remote. So, you're going to see 1 in 3 people kind of not return to the normal that we had. So with that, the virtual component is here to stay. And I think getting back to some of these ideas like, a live stream party or hosting webinars. I mean, yes, we've done a lot of that. You've probably said the word webinar more than you've ever said in your life in 2020.
Exactly. And people
but we've also learned a ton. I want to give these Zooms and webinars credits as well, because we've learned a lot. In some way, we engage, yes, differently, but engaged in more meaningful ways as well. But, even more than that, just, helping them along as they figure out the new normal. And some of these, like, hosting a 5K or doing, and you can scroll down, James, if you want. Doing like we talked about the virtual gala. You do a gala and that's on YouTube. That's going to be there forever. And chances are someone is going to see that 3, 4, 6 months down the road, watch it and take action. Yeah.
Especially if your call to action transcends time, right? Like if you stood up a temporary fundraising like bidding thing and you're recording your bidding, well, that's great. But if you are done bidding on all your items are gone, which is a great means of raising money. We have a partner that does bidding, and I think it's an awesome opportunity. But if that's the only thing you're doing, then your video lives on for 6, 9, 12 months, forever, right? But you're like, how do people give? Like, what am I doing here, right? Yeah, exactly. Why would I watch it? There's nothing left to bid on. So it sounds like it's important. Well, and the reason we have so many ideas, it sounds like there's not just one size fits all. We maybe have to do a bunch of them and try on different ideas for our context. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, I think it's just got to be the best fit for your organization, depending on, these are 10 or 11 different ideas that we've come up with on this particular post. But, you've got to cater it to your demographic, and no one knows that better than our clients or the nonprofits that we talk to and work with on a daily basis.
Yeah, I get it. And I agree.
Now, I do a food drive. That'd be me every time, or a wine night. Let's do both of those. That would fit my nonprofit if I was,
cheese. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's funny, some of the nonprofits I'm involved with, we'll do like we call it happy hour, right? And we'll just put a text out or a message out, an impromptu to say, hey, join us for happy hour today. And it has to usually be the day of. It can't be, you don't really plan. I mean, you can plan a cocktail party, I guess, and have it on the calendar for a week out. But what I like about the way we've approached it really is like more like impromptu. And we do this at work sometimes. We'll say, hey, jump on Zoom. Let's do a happy hour this afternoon. 3:00, and everybody just gets on Zoom, and we, go get your favorite beverage, tea, water, coffee, beer, wine, whatever you want to drink. But the point is that we're together, and it's less about the medium. We're not talking about Zoom while we're on the phone, right? Or on Zoom. In fact, some people just call in. But it's more that we're able to, kick back kick back in our chairs a bit and just be together and foster that community. But but yeah, I mean, donors, are people. So people love being around people, and we're all sick of being alone, to some, and on camera all the time. So the more I can do that and it not be presentation mode and more just, here's my dog, isn't she cute? And we talk about animals, like that's kind of fun, right? So the pet night, I like that idea.
Yeah, the pet night's good stuff. You mentioned, getting your favorite beverage together. I know you had a lot of coffee this morning, and ever since you mentioned that in the staff meeting, I've been obsessed with coffee. So for the last 3 hours, my kids are down. It's a remote world. They're sleeping in my office now. I'm just kidding. What used to be my office, but I'm like, I got to get some coffee. So of course now I'm like dead set on it. But
yeah,
that's another idea. Another idea.
Yeah. Do a virtual coffee event.
Yeah, a virtual coffee event, a virtual roast.
A virtual roast. Oh, that's a good idea. You're going to roast
That's cool. Yeah, you could get like a celebrity. Like, this is on the fly, everyone. So this is this is free right here. Like you could do the pun virtual roast. Everybody gets their favorite cup that day and sits down and watches. But you're roasting a celebrity or a comedian or someone tied into, of course, your nonprofit. That would be fun. We'll start with James Martin and Rally. That's how we'll do it. So we'll do the first one.
I have a good friend that owns a coffee roasting company. It's a little local, kind of a really great coffee. But I promise you, if I called him and said, hey, I've got a nonprofit, they're doing a coffee night, they want to mention your product, and would you ship me a bag or, whatever, right? If I get a bag of your coffee, I'll hold it up, I'll drink your coffee, I'll talk about it, and then you can sponsor the event. And then give me 10% of all the proceeds that come in where they mention, whatever, a code for your website for ordering, because they see off online ordering. So, just being creative like that and in the fly, because look, for a coffee shop or a coffee producer, they're down, right? They had a lot of online sales, so that carried them through, but they're right here in, local Southern California, so they got shut down, and they're looking for new ways to get their brand out there and get their product out there, and they've got inventory that has to turn over. That will spoil if they don't. So, they have a challenge. And so if you take your opportunity to create community and touches points with donors and people, even if they're not donors, even if you just do it on LinkedIn, you want to, I don't know that I'd do it on Twitter, or I might do it on Facebook if it's a little bit more intimate, but I don't want the wrong people there. Well, I'm always afraid when I put something out in the social media that someone will show up without a shirt on, and that's not good. Or it'll turn into a fight, right? So you want to make sure you can moderate the tech and you're kind of closed off. But I promise you, if I posted right now on LinkedIn, hey, we got this Clubhouse thing tonight, we'd have a good number of people show up in Clubhouse, right? Yeah. That's just everybody's doing that. Or if I said, hey, we're going to do something on Zoom later, join me, hashtag nonprofits, and then I just make sure I have 5 or 6 good ones that come. Maybe we can, but they may come for a webinar. But they will definitely come if there's community. If you kind of say, hey, we're going to do a show off your pet night, join us, and I don't know. Just again, these are spitballing ideas, right? Well, take what works.
Yeah. No, I went to actually attended a nonprofit symposium yesterday that was neat because it had everybody kind of in the room. So it felt like a large Zoom conference room, but everybody was there. Their cameras were on. They were talking. They were networking. There were breakout rooms even available within that. So that was pretty neat. And something that was definitely effective, I thought.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I know we participated in Community Boost, which is an important partner of ours right here in San Diego. They did an amazing digital marketing event. In fact, if you're not on the digital marketing Facebook group, you really, and you're in any kind of communication marketing role, you should be. And they're a phenomenal group, but they did that. Yeah, they did a fantastic job of bringing in good speakers, good presenters. They had, good discussion in the chat. They had breakout rooms. So you can do it well. I think that it really comes down to how good the content is, because, when I go to a conference, I'm going to meet with people. And so, if you're trying to get the meet with people piece over social, that might be a little bit challenging. But if it's really good content or if it's good quality, then people certainly don't mind paying attention for hours on end. But if you're going to do the meet with people breakout piece, then make that the event. or do it at the end of the event, right? Where it's just stay on if you want to, bring your animal on the camera and talk about your animal, whatever, right? Your pet.
And that's exactly what they did in yesterday's. They held it till the end and said, look, we're not going to keep some of you who may need to run, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, the other idea you had was the behind the scenes tour. I think you called it the BTS tour.
BTS. I know it's from my boy band days. I'm trying to get it to sound exactly like something like that, but
I was 3 or 4 sentences in before I realized what BTS stood for, so shame on me. That was a good job on that.
Yeah.
Scenes. What did you think there? What were you thinking?
I think, especially with social media, social media is the beacon of behind the scenes, and it kind of always has been. It was like, hey, what's this celebrity eating for lunch, and what are they? That's kind of how it all started.
To view into their life to see how human they are.
Exactly, and I think everyone has that curiosity to get a behind the scenes look into not only how a fundraising event may go, but even the organization itself, how it may work, to see exactly where this money's going, where, like, for example, you may witness a thank you program where they're calling their top donors and you can kind of view that, or other things. I mean, it really can be inward facing or outward facing, but I like that factor, especially with the video, because it doesn't have to be perfectly done. But behind the scenes, it seems informal. Again, it's even in the title. So you don't want something to produce. So it allows you to kind of get a really good event for the price of a bad one, if that helps, and all that.
Yeah. What I loved about that idea, Will, is, so often, and this is super unfortunate, right? But so often we're judged in the nonprofit world, the charity world, and even the word nonprofit. I mean, that's like, it's a constant in-your-face reminder that that's your tax treatment, and that there can't be any profits left over, right? Which is why I prefer like charity or cause, these other words. Because I feel like one has kind of more of a scarcity idea, like, oh, there's no profits, it's not for profit. And whereas a charity or a cause is more about, now look what we're doing. But one of the challenges that we have, in the way our nonprofits are often judged, and it makes sense why it needs to be this way, but it's also can be very problematic. And it's all about overhead, right? How lean of a lean can you run? It's just really a shame. And there's a great TED Talk, we shared internally on that. But it's really a shame that, the for-profits aren't judged by the same scrutiny. And they're slinging hamburgers, and our nonprofits are judged on that scrutiny, and they're saving babies, or bringing fresh water to Africa, or fighting for women's rights. Like these are worthy, good causes for our society, and we're focused on margin of operation and how little you can spend to recruit and keep good marketing people, which is just crazy to me. So anyway, that could be its own session, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers because I have opinions about that. But I'll say this. Behind the scenes might be a way to humanize your staff a bit, right? I know recently we did a virtual tour, not a virtual tour, this is before COVID, we did an in-person tour. Look at me, I'm still talking virtual, but like we went down and they invited us in, as ambassadors in their program to come just tour their facility and look at, how they're effectively helping the homeless, and to serve, food, and to participate in the conversation. And being there and meeting the people that actually did the work, the Laurens and the Amys and the Rons, and like getting to know these people and work with them and co-labor with them for a short afternoon or a short season, helped me to put a face and a name and a story to the actual organization. So now when they put out ask for money or for funding or for philanthropy, I'm thinking, of course I want to feed the homeless, and of course I want to, take care of these families that have nowhere to turn. Of course I want to do that, but I also want to help the people that are helping them. Like, I want them to feel valued. I want them to feel like we're caring for them, because there's no sense in us saving these people on the streets just to send, their kids to the streets because we don't take care of them. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, we want them to have a vibrant future and to be taken care of. So my point in all that is sometimes behind the scenes allows you to lift the veil, so to speak, and introduce the people And even if you don't make it an event, just recording on social media. Hi, I'm Amy. I oversee this aspect, and this is the kind of what my typical day looks like. And here's the challenges and the opportunities, and here's my story, and here's why I love working for, ABC Foundation.
Yeah.
I love this work, and here's why I love it. And who knows, somebody may see themselves in Amy's story and may go, oh, I like that. I like her, and I like what she's about. So why not participate?
Yeah.
I don't know. Now I'm on a soapbox. You got me preaching. Sorry.
I know, like, anytime you delve into the marketing realm, it could go for hours, which I love. I mean, it's passion. So it's good. It's a good thing, James. It's just, I laugh about it inside.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that we give our partners, the worthy causes out there. You guys are all doing great work. We just want to invite people in to experience that. And you create time and space where people can connect with you and hear your story and listen and lean in and learn and get on board. So, that's what I loved about these ideas. So, nothing can stop you is a great way to end it. Like, nothing can stop you. You're an unstoppable force. COVID cannot stop your
That's right.
and your cause. Like, you are going to succeed and you will win. And it's just one more subtle setback. But honestly, if it wasn't COVID, it'd be something else. Like, that life, it just throws, the obstacle is the way. Great book. Like, it's just going to be the way. You gotta go through it, right? So anyway.
And I was gonna add to that, James. I like the book you mentioned. I want to read it. I know you've mentioned it before, but I think you're exactly right. There's always going to be challenges. It may not be the pandemic this year, maybe something else the next year. But the key is humanity is resilient, and when the going gets tough, we seem to put others first, and that's why I love working with some of the people that we work with, and the ones that we end up not working with, of course. Everybody's doing their part. And I just love that about the human spirit, not to get all, frou-frou on a Friday afternoon. But, I think that's important. I mean, because ultimately that's what connects us all. It's being human.
Yeah.
And so,
well, I know this morning in our staff meeting, I said, and it's as a reminder to our team, and because I need to be reminded. Sometimes you say things as a leader that you yourself are working to just remember, But at the end of the day, we have our numbers, we have our dashboards, we have our plans, we have our initiatives, we have the tactical stuff that we're doing. But let us never forget, really, at the end of the day, it's about loving people, and it's loving on people. Right?
Yeah.
So we get to serve the servants who are serving the communities of which we are participating, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like the homeless ministry right here in Southern California that I love so much. I go serve with them and I bring my kids. I want my kids to be in that. I want them to see that, not because it typically fosters in them, it did in me, empathy and gratitude and appreciation that, hey, who am I to stay home on a, one Tuesday a month and watch Netflix? Like, why not just go, expose myself to a world and listen, some of the language that gets said in those food lines, I'd rather my 15-year-old not hear that stuff. Or, some of the uncomfortable things that occur. We had one of our, volunteers get punched recently. So, I mean, things can go sideways, obviously, and it's not always beautiful, but it's life, and it's, it is. Anyway, my point in saying all that is we get to serve on the people we serve. And that's something that means to me because I have a family member that's homeless, that's a heroin addict, and we hear from him sometimes, and we'll go years and not hear from him. So I hope someone's taking care of Brian because he's Brian. I love him, but he's just chose a different path. And I hope someone's taking care of him, and someone's Brian is in my town, and we'll take care of them. And if we don't do it personally, we'll find people that are taking care of them, and we'll take care of, we'll help them with the technology so they can get more people on their mission. So that's our heart. That's who we are. But anyway, that's what we deal with, isn't it, Will?
Yeah, this has been a very emotional Good Friday episode. I think it just brings out that part of you, James, having, worked in the ministry in the past and whatnot. So that's some good stuff. And
people.
And as someone, trust me, y'all, as someone who is, talks to James every day, works with James, he is sincere in that. He mentions it the right amount, not too much, not too little. So the right amount.
Definitely is. I don't want to overdo that for sure, but no, I love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, hey, anything else that we need to process on this or talk about here to kind of wrap this up?
I definitely don't want to talk about the 5K. I don't want to think about running.
Exercise for a cause? Come on, man.
No. That's all of them are really good ideas, and of course, none of them are original ideas. That's the key. I want to point out. We have a lot of clients and causes around the country that are doing these things and have really paved the way for us to stay in touch, which has really been great to see.
Yeah, no, I love it. There's a lot of, and sometimes when you create content like that, it's not necessarily that you're obviously inventing anything. Mm-hmm. You're just taking what you're seeing working and what others are doing. You're just trying to put it in one place.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier on the people that have to do the work to not have to go out and find it, because it took you hours, I know, to pull all of this together. And so that can be mm-hmm. a lot of time. So,
yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, hey, TextGen Together, as you said, we're going to take a break for a few weeks. And we have some things internally we're working on. So we're going to be back. We're working on a new landing page that makes signing up a little bit easier. Like today, we had 2 Zoom links created, which create a little confusion for that. But we have a new method to sign up and get on the list at least, so you know when these are coming up. And then I'd love your feedback. We're talking internally whether this is a weekly thing, a bi-weekly thing, a monthly thing. We just wanted to do it on a regular cadence for I think 8 weeks now. We've been doing it every Friday, just about. I think we missed one, just to see kind of what it feels like to do it on a more regular basis. But would love feedback from the group if they want us to do it more often. That we're down for that. We just want to make sure it creates good value and people come prepared to do deeper dives on what they want to talk about. So,
sure.
Else, Will, before I end us.
No, go Dodgers, and everyone have a wonderful Easter weekend. Thanks for what y'all do.
All right, everybody. Hey, let's. I'm going to end the recording here. Thanks for joining us for TextGen Together on this wonderful Good Friday. And let's hang on for a minute, and then we'll take a couple of questions and talk to you offline if there's anybody that has anything they want to say. So thanks again for tuning in, and see you in a minute.